Hello, everyone. We are in our seventh week of our course, and today we'll talk about how a news organization is run and managed by several departments. So let's talk about that. So when we talk about a news organization is usually comprised of many departments. So from publishing to editing, and from editing to printing. So this is an organogram of a news organization. Typically, it's an organogram of a newspaper, as well as you can apply this organogram to television as well. So, as I told you, that news organization has various departments, and they all take care of a variety of tasks. So, each department has a specific function with several staff taking care of each function. So as I told you that there are various departments that are part of a news organization, but these are some main and important departments like editorial department, advertising department, circulation department, printing, administrative, stores, and IT. These are some major departments, but there are a lot of other smaller departments as well, like creative or photography or camera department or the technical department or the broadcast department. There are small other departments as well, but these are seven main components of any news organization that are necessary to function that organization smoothly. When we talk about editorial department, that is the single most important department because editorial department is responsible of producing content for any newspaper, online news organization, or any television channel. As the name implies, this department is the one that is responsible for creating content. So, content means whatever you are reading in any newspaper or whatever you are watching on your television screens. So, the main responsibilities of this department is the gathering of news, selecting which news and feature gets to be published in newspaper or to be broadcasted on television, then edit that news or the feature that has been selected for the publication or for the broadcasting, and then print it out or to broadcast it. So editorial departments are in television channels as well, and they are in newspapers as well. So in editorial department, publisher is the responsible for all of the operations of the newspaper. Mostly publishers are owners in Pakistan. So in Pakistan, whoever is the owner, he is usually known as a publisher of the business. So the main job of publisher is to see that newspaper remains financially healthy. So most of the finances that are coming into the news channel or into the newspaper, they are coming from the publishers. That means publisher is almost all of the time, either it's a board or it's an individual. He's owner of that newspaper, or they are, let's say, policymaker of that newspaper. Editor. Editor is basically captain of the ship, and he is responsible for all the editorial content of the newspaper and for the budgets and the money spent by the editorial side of the newspaper or the editorial side of television channel. Often in smaller newspaper, the publisher and the editor, they are the same. So most of the time in smaller television channels, mostly publishers and editors are the same people, or director news or the owner of the newspaper or the channel, they are the same. The next person is editorial page editor. The editorial page editor is responsible for the editorial page and the op-ed page of the newspaper. As you know from my previous lecture, that editorial page basically deals with the editorials and opinions. So we can call it op-ed page or the editorial page. So these pages are where the newspaper's editorials are printed, as well as the letter to the editors or the columns by the syndicated columnists and the guest columns by the local people. Managing editor. This is very important post. This is the person who's in charge of the day-to-day production of the newspaper or the television channel. You can call it executive producer as well in television channel. Similarly, city editor is basically sometimes called the metro editor, is the in charge of the news coverage of an area in which the newspaper is located. Or if newspaper is not located in an area, but it has interest in that area, so usually you appoint a city editor over there. Reporters, as you know from my previous lectures, they are responsible for gathering information about the news stories in local areas. There are generally two kinds of reporters: a beat reporter and a general assignment reporter. A beat reporter, as you know from previous lectures, beat reporters are the reporters that work only on a specific beat, while general assignment reporters, they are allowed to work on any assignment, whether it's a crime, it's health, it's art and literature, film, drama, they can cover anything. But beat reporters mostly, they remain in their beat. They cover a subject. Copy editors or the assistant editors. The chief copy editor is in charge of newspapers copy. The people on the copy desk read news stories and sometimes stories from other sections as well to make sure they are written according to the newspaper standards. So let's say if a reporter is sending a news story from the field, that story will not be published or broadcasted as it is sent to the news organization. Mostly that story will go to the copy editors. What they are going to do, they are going to edit that story according to the language standards of that news organizations. So the chief copy editor makes final decisions about the copy and is in charge of stuffing of the desk. Copy editor is basically a person who works under the chief copy editor. So there are several copy editors in any news organizations, like there are several reporters in any news organization. So copy editor is specially trained to read the stories that others have written and make sure they conform with the rules of grammar and style. So mostly copy editors are looking into the language side of any news story. So a copy editor also writes headlines and performs other duties that helps to produce the newspaper or any news bulletin every day. Photo editor is basically responsible for all the photographers, although it is often the case that the photo editor is a former photographer. This editor assigns photographers and help to select them photos for the newspaper or for television channels as well. Graphic editor, basically the editor, head of the graphic departments. Similarly, a graphic reporter researches and designs informational graphics that supports news stories. Advertising department, that is the second important department. So we talked about editorial department and different functions of that department. Let's talk about advertising department. As I told you, it's very important department. Newspapers are vehicle of advertising meant to appeal to their readers. As such, the advertising department is one which is critical. Why it is critical? Because it gets in the revenue which is important to sustain for the newspaper or for any channel. So that's why advertising department is important, because it brings all the money. All the money flows from the advertising department. So in order to get paid, you need to look into that department, that how important that department is. So getting in revenue through advertising for the newspaper happens through various means. There can be several sections in this department. One to look after local advertising, one for classified ads, one for general or national advertising, one for legal advertising, or one for advertising that is coming from the government or from various governmental departments. For example, there is a complete sales team in place whose job is to push the newspaper as an advertising vehicle of choice to advertising and media buying agencies acting on behalf of clients as well as clients. Let's say there are a lot of advertising agencies who are working with different product companies and they want to advertise for their product. So these advertising agencies distribute those advertising to different advertising departments that are in different newspapers. So in order to publish those advertising or broadcast those advertising, that news channel or that newspaper get payments. Circulation department. So circulation department, or let's say we can call it distribution department. In television, we call it distribution department, but in newspaper, we call it circulation department. The circulation department takes care of everything after the newspaper is printed. Similarly, distribution department takes care everything when transmission is being broadcasted, how to distribute it into various areas. This includes delivering the production to the homes through their own third-party carriers, to the post office, to be mailed into the homes, as well as to the newsstands, vending machines, and other places it is circulated. Similarly, distribution department takes care um, effective distribution of the transmission of a specific television channel. They are in contact with the cable operators, with the satellite operators, and they make sure that their TV channel is distributed evenly. So it is usually headed by a major executive. It could be a distribution manager or the circulation manager or the circulation GM or circulation director. So you could name it. So the circulation manager may have any or all of the following subdivisions under his supervision: city circulation, provincial circulation, nationwide circulations. So you need to understand that whatever a television channel or a newspaper is producing, circulation or the distribution department takes care of its effective or even distribution or circulation. So it could be divided into area circulation, sale promotions, and many other types of departments. So that is the job of circulation department. Printing department. This is another department in a newspaper establishment whose name simply tells people that the job of this department is to print newspaper. While in television channel, there is a production department. Their job is to finalize a product, finalize an idea. So the department is in charge of everything that has to do with the production and printing of the newspaper. So we can say um, broadcast and production, these two departments could be in comparison with the printing department, because broadcast department also works like printing something or broadcasting something. So production and broadcast department, their job is to produce that content. Administrative department is very important department and is responsible for general administration of the entire establishment. So this department is in charge of certain very important duties such as planning, organization, and staffing. Thus, the department basically looks after the general administrative work pertaining to personnel, their selection, training, promotion, allotment of work, maintaining leave records, liaison with government departments, and general facilities. So mostly administrative department is comprised of HR department as well. So HR department is also part of administrative department. Sometimes in some channels, administrative department is different, who looks after general administration, while HR is a separate department. But you can actually compare them under the administrative department. Stores department, this is a department that has one sole responsibility, which is to properly store newsprints and all the raw materials or supplies used for the printing, like ink and all the spare parts for their printing machines, paper, etc., etc. They also store all other materials that are used in establishment. Like in television channels, there are store departments. They usually store equipment like cables, mics, cameras, equipment for the DSNG, extra tapes, recording materials, etc., etc. So store department is very important. Sometimes in some TV channels, in store departments are like big shops that have stationery and um, other kind of stuff in them. So store department is very important. So IT department, because we are living in 21st century, like 20 years back, there wasn't any concept of information technology department or the IT department. But nowadays, in every establishment, there is an IT department. So this department is in charge of protecting, maintaining, and improving the technical equipment associated with the running a media outlet. Engineers, technicians, broadcast engineers spend some of their times on preventive maintenance and taking to keep equipment from breaking, and much more of their time fixing equipment that has already broken. So IT and technical department. So let's say in a newspaper there is an IT department, while in a television channel there is IT department as well and technical department as well. So these departments are basically responsible of technical equipment and maintaining information technology presence in that news organization. So these are some basic, very important departments in any news organization. I'll give you an overview of all these departments one more time, and then we will finish this lecture. So when we talk about dividing any news organization in in departments, um, there are several departments. Editorial department, that is responsible of generating, maintaining, or devising new ideas for the content. Basically, this department is responsible for the content. Advertising department is responsible for all the finances that is coming into the organization. Circulation department is basically responsible of distributing the content that is developed by the editorial department. So these two departments are very much related. Same is the printing department, that is responsible for printing, or in television channel, it's a broadcast department or the production department. Administrative department looks after all the administrative tasks. Stores department basically stores everything that is necessary for running the business, while IT department looks after all the information technology aspects of that news organization. So guys, thank you very much. That's it for today. We'll meet next time with new lecture. Take care of yourself. Stay home. Stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.